So I think I'll cover some best practices. No matter which particular method you use, we would suggest that you have these 4 steps in place or these 4 best practices implemented. Based on some of the FDA guidances, we'll put together these 4. So one is certainly to submit accurate data. And we saw that big funnel in the beginning, many downstream users. Once you place and publish incorrect data into that system, and then it propagates all the way through many different users, and then you put a correction in place, you have no guarantee that it's going to affect each one of those instances of that data. So it's very hard to have the data updated by these downstream users. So the takeaway point is make sure that your data is submitted accurately right up front on the first entry. Make sure that they're current values, all fresh data, nothing obsolete. And it's a data set that you're totally happy with and meets all your quality requirements. The second practice is that the FDA, and we would certainly endorse it, that you might want to consider voluntary complying with the UDI submission. So, and also complying with UDI in general. So you might have some exceptions, and we saw some examples in previous conversation where you may not even have to submit a record based on good manufacturing practice exemption or because of an OTC exception. And again, make a business decision here whether or not this makes sense for you to go ahead and submit anyway. The third good practice is that when you do submit data, here the FDA did put out some instructions about making sure the data is full and complete. We would recommend an approach that is a comprehensive data record rather than a minimal data record. And the FDA has a number of optional and conditionally required fields, but the intent from the FDA is that if that information is available, please go ahead and submit it. They've heard from downstream users that in some cases this is very critical, and not having the information leaves gaps in their knowledge base. There's 2 fields in particular that the FDA has re-identified and identified them as being recommended or critical for identification and adoption, and those 2 would be the catalog number or the device description. So they're originally identified as being optional, and many companies just left those fields blank. Industry came back to the FDA and said, you know what, we use catalog numbers. That's really where we're mapping our products to now, and we're not sure how to relate that to the device identifier now, and this is very, very critical. Missing data here was a real shortcoming. And then responding to customer feedback and keeping up to date. So we have found that in many cases you'll have for marketing reasoning, a new packaging level. You might have a 5-pack or a 10-pack introduced to the market. They have to be identified with device identifier and reported, so there's ongoing maintenance there. You might have a contact phone number change or something, or your GMDN code might have changed. That sometimes that particular codes gets broken down into more granular subcodes, so your original code's no longer necessary. And if you pull a device off the market, end of life sort of thing, you do have to report that date. So there's ongoing maintenance as well.